Okay, hi everybody, this is Mr. Manning, and this video is going to be about how to use these things called triggers, and specifically how to use them in PowerPoint. So you're probably wondering, what exactly is a trigger? So a lot of us already know how to use animations to make things move on the screen. And most of the time when you're creating a presentation, animations will work just fine. But there are a lot of times whenever you want something to happen in PowerPoint and you want to be able to make it kind of interactive for your audience. And to do this, you are going to use triggers. So what triggers do is they allow us to customize how things animate on our screen. And probably even a better way to say that is they let us customize when things animate on our screen. So you get to choose when or if something animates based off of what is clicked on the slide. So you can turn your PowerPoint slide into this digital interactive screen where, depending on where you click at, things will happen. So it's kind of like a tiny touch of computer programming or even game design. And if you use a trigger, this allows you to have complete control over the order of things being animated, because the user, the one that's using the mouse, will get to choose what they click on and when they click on it. And then the designer, which is probably you, will get to choose what order those things happen in. Okay, so before we go any further, we probably need to just do a very quick review of animations. Most people know how to do these, but just a quick review. So up here on the toolbars, there is the tab called Animations. And to animate something, you have to first select it. So I'm going to animate this sun right here. By the way, you should have a copy of this presentation, and I would encourage you to have it open and maybe doing this along with me, especially in a few slides. I'm going to have you try to insert triggers on your own, so you'll probably want to have something that you can practice with. All right, so I'm going to try to animate this sun. So I need to first select it. When I do, all of my animations become available to me. The ones that are in green are animations that make the sun appear on the screen. I can use either this arrow here to scroll through some of my animations, or I can hit this arrow and it will show me all of my animations. So green ones are entrance animations. They make something appear. Yellow ones are emphasis animations. They do something to the object, like make it change colors or spin around or whatever. These kind of orangish looking ones are exit animations, so they make something leave the screen. And then we also have these things called motion paths, and a motion path allows you to move something on the screen, but to give it a path to follow when you do. Okay, so let's say I'm going to add an animation to this sun. I'm going to have it spin. So I click on spin. PowerPoint will show you a quick preview of your animation. You can also open up this thing called the Animations pane, which is over here on the right-hand side. And whenever I'm using animations, I like to have this open, including when I'm doing triggers. And I can preview the animations that I've added. So I'm going to hit this play from again, and there goes my sun one more time. I can also do some custom elements to my animations from this pane. You also have some flexibility up here at the top too. You can choose how the animation begins, how long it lasts. You can choose what order the animations happen in. So speaking of the order, I'm going to have my sun do something else. So I'm going to have it spin around, and then I'm also going to have it fly away. So we're going to have it fly out. Okay. So I have my sun that now is flying out. I can use these effect options, and I can choose which way it flies out, so that now it's going to the left. And I would just simply encourage you to kind of use some of these and experiment with what animations you can do. All right, but we're not actually here for animations. I think most of you know how to do this already. What we're going to talk about is triggers. So here is a simple trigger example that I set up. And you can see that I have two objects at the moment. I have this picture of this koala bear, and I also have this shape of a heart. And over here on my animations pane, you can see that I have a couple of animations already added in. I have a motion path, that's what this arrow is here. This is a path where the picture of the koala will move from this side of the screen down to this corner. And then I also have another animation, which is the spin animation. If I hover my mouse above it, it tells me that it is spin. PowerPoint has called this picture Picture 3. That's why it says Picture 3 over here. And this heart that I created, it's called it Heart 4. I have added a trigger to Heart 4. So let me show you this in action. I am going to go into slideshow view. So I'm going to hit this here. And now I can try to make the koala bear move. So if I click around on the screen, nothing happens. And the reason nothing is happening is because I have added a trigger to the heart. In fact, if you notice on my mouse, whenever I move my mouse over the top of the heart, it goes from being an arrow to being like a little pointer finger hand. That tells me that there is a trigger on this object. Something is going to happen when I click on it. So I'm going to click on it one time. There goes my koala bear. I just activated my first trigger. I'm going to click on it again. This time it should spin. And it does. That was my second trigger. Now that I have activated both of my triggers, if I click the heart one more time, it does it all again. So triggers actually cycle. Okay, I'm going to leave slideshow view. So here's how I did that. I first had to add these objects to my page. So before you can do any trigger or any animation, you have to add those to your slide. So I had to go find the picture of the koala bear and insert it. I used the insert ribbon to do that. And I also had to add this shape of a heart, and I also used the insert ribbon shape to do that. After I had these two objects on my screen, I had to then animate them. And actually the heart I didn't animate at all, but I did animate the koala bear. So I clicked on the koala bear, I went to the animations tab, and I chose the motion path right here. I then dragged my motion path down to this corner because I wanted my koala bear to move from here to here. So that was my first animation. So after I did that, I then wanted to make sure that that animation only happened on the trigger. So I went to the trigger drop-down menu and I put on click of, and I chose heart 4 because that's what I wanted the trigger to be, my heart. So I clicked on that, and then it's basically put those two things together. Okay, so let me show you this in action. I'm going to go to this next slide here. It says use triggers to make each box move to the right when you click on it. The first one has been done for you. So I've got these three boxes, and you can see that this box already has a animation, a motion path where it goes from left to right. And if I look at my animation pane, that was a trigger. So if I go into slideshow view, when I click on this box, it should move to the right. And there it goes. If I click on these boxes, nothing happens. And that's because I haven't added a trigger yet. So let's do that real quick. I'm going to go to the second box here. I'm going to add my animation. So animations tab. I'm going to do another motion path. We could do an arc this time. That might be a little more interesting. So I'm going to do an arc. Okay. PowerPoint creates like kind of a small one at the beginning, but you can move this around. So I'm going to have my arc go from here to here. And you could even kind of play around with like how much of a dip it takes and so on. And if at any time you want to see how that works, you can hit play and there's my animation. Okay, now I'm going to add a trigger. I want the trigger to be this box because when I click on it, I want the animation to happen. So I go to Trigger, on Click Of. I have to remember what rectangle this is. I know that rectangle 4 is this box, so I am guessing that this one is rectangle 5. If you're not 100% sure, try one. If it doesn't work, that'll give you some information on what PowerPoint is calling it. So I'm going to choose rectangle 5. Now over here on my animations page, you can see trigger for rectangle 4 is this moving from left to right here. Trigger on rectangle 5 is this little arc. Let's see if it worked. So I go back to slideshow view. If I click this one, it should go straight over to the right. If I click on this one, it should now dip down and come back up. If I were to add another trigger, I would just need to select this, insert my animation, and then put the trigger on. Okay, so here's what I'd like for you to try. See if you can make a picture of a cat be the trigger for a picture of a dog. So you're going to need to add a picture of a cat and you're going to need to add a picture of a dog. And the trigger that I want you to try is that whenever you click on the picture of the cat, the dog picture will spin. It will then move somewhere, and then finally it will disappear. So you're basically going to have 3 different types of animations. You're going to have one where it spins, one where it moves, and one where it disappears. Okay, give that a try. All of these triggers will help you with the next project for this class. Have a great day.